Everything is frozen solid. Hardly any movement and no more getting through. The snow drifts are in parts 2 meters tall. Only heavy haulers and snow-clearing crews are getting through. The Russians are playing their eternal game with us and keep trying to displace us from our winter quarters. It's basically just a few shacks in the steppe over which we are fighting. Sometimes we kick the Russians out, other times our troops are forced to withdraw. By now the Russians are managing to bypass us with ski battalions and cavalry and are breaking through the front lines. Luckily, they are not able to hold their positions for long and quickly have to withdraw. But it wears on you not knowing what is moving through the white desert. A few days ago, our combat post was attacked by ski troops. The firefight didn't last long. After 20 minutes, they were gone. Later, we only found traces of blood, but no dead bodies. Thus these days drag on and we hope that things will improve soon. A rumor is going around that it's soon supposed to go in the direction of Kharkiv. Our regiment is deployed widely dispersed indeed, and it would be good to have everyone pulled together again. Some battle groups have been on their own for quite a while and are being led by brave officers. But they also suffer high losses and replacements are slow to come. The suspicions then turn into orders and the big packing can begin. For days, everything is gathered and stowed away so that the staff can finally get out of this area. It's more than 100 kilometers that we have to cross. The Russians won't simply allow us to leave. Actually, I am fortunate that I'm still with my troops. After our successful assault on the hill and our captured tanks, we were supposed to form an armored group in the middle of our sector with other captured vehicles. Our captain, however, insisted on not losing all his old hands too. Thus we received the task to take the tanks to the next train station for loading before our troop relocation. That does not appeal to me since someone in the T-34 behind our front line always runs a chance of being destroyed by our own forces. But this is supposed to happen quickly. Therefore, we make our way to the next railroad station, which is located almost 40 kilometers behind the front. We bear broad German crosses and place large aerial recognition banners onto the plates of armor. This way we can hardly be overlooked, and it would have to go with the devil if we'd still get on smacked on top of our head. We are announced over radio. Now we are off with the driver, a radio operator, and 2 men inside the turret. Number 13 drives in the lead, and we in number 12 behind. Why on earth these numbers are on the tanks, there's certainly a reason, but we are not aware of it. We are using a clear road, and each of us has a sled loaded with fuel in tow. Up front drives a Volkswagen field car with 2 military policemen in order for us to get through everywhere, but also so we are not immediately shot at. To the rear, we are followed by an armored reconnaissance vehicle, which is supposed to take us back later. The field car is always driving 100 meters ahead. That only works until the snow is getting too deep and we have to tow the car behind the armored reconnaissance vehicle. We've covered 20 kilometers so far, then it's time for a break. It doesn't take long, and a Stork German reconnaissance plane is circling above us. It's flying even lower, trying to see what we are up to. We quickly fire a green recognition flare, and the reconnaissance plane responds in kind. With that, it's not longer a threat. 30 minutes later, we climb back in our tanks. The engines roar up. Further on we go. We've got plenty ahead of us. After a while, we reach a bridge which is supposed to be capable of supporting tanks, built by tank pioneers. One can read on the road sign. On the other side of the bridge, we can recognize positions of German soldiers. We are just about to cross when there is a loud bang, once, twice, and again. No heavy caliber, but a familiar sound. On our number 13 tank, we can see 2 hits, but they are not penetrating. The ricochet is howling into the sky. Our lead tank buttons down the hatches and drives full throttle onto the bridge. Again there's a bang. I yell at the driver that it can only be anti-tank rifles. Our escort fires green recognition flares. Then after another 2 hits on the turret, it's over. Those losers thought us to be Russians, of course, who were about to cause confusion behind the lines. With captured anti-tank rifles caliber 14.5 mm, they were shooting at us like mad since they didn't have any heavy weapons. As we are across, a sergeant jumps into the road and stops us. There were anti-tank mines laid out here. We need to divert. Not a second too soon, otherwise we would have driven right into them and then been flung to high heavens with a loud boom. An infantry lieutenant later joins in and apologizes for the incident. They had Russian tanks in their backyard before. That had been no fun. I can well understand how one gets cautious. After we have then found the path through the minefield, we continue in the direction of the train station close to 5 kilometers through a piece of woods. We are rumbling on through the snow-covered landscape. Suddenly, number 13 stops again. I had dove down in the turret because I'd be getting too cold above, but the commander was still looking out. To my question what was going on again, he has no answer. There are civilians in the woods who are cheerfully running toward our tanks. I'm not liking this at all. It literally smells like partisans. And I'm right. Covered in snow shirts and with rifles, the Russians are emerging from cover and are waving at their presumed comrades. The lead tank reacts faster than we do. Its turret machine gun is already firing into the partisans. More heads go up in the woods, a grenade into the barrel, turning the turret, and after 3 shots nothing there is alive anymore. Our escort comes through the patch of forest and can recover explosives and some wire. They were probably going to set up something along the road and blow our people up. We lay the 8 partisans along the trail and dig a large hole in the snow. Therein we place the weapons, ammunition and explosives. As we leave, we blow it all up so no one else would be able to use it anymore. In the evening we finally arrive at the train station and have to take quarters as it's already getting dark. The soldiers at the train station have a few liters of wine in store, and as they hear that we've probably solved their partisan problem, it turns into a jolly wet-your-throat evening. The next morning, the T-34s are loaded onto the train. We get on our way back to staff. Fortunately, we joined up with 3 assault guns, which also have to go toward the front line. They are taking the lead. When we cross through the woods again, the dead bodies are gone, certainly picked up by the people from the nearby village. By the bridge, the path through the minefield is easily visible from the westerly direction, and the Stuks have no problem getting across the bridge. At noon, a quick refueling stop and some rations, and it goes to the combat post. Meanwhile, the assault guns have made their way further north, and we arrive safely back at staff. 2 days later, we are headed for Charkiv. Snow clearing crews and heavy haulers are clearing the way. The snow shovel detachment only comes in if the snow drifts get too tall. I'm looking forward to the city. Finally, some quiet and real houses. Since parts of our regiment have already arrived, I'm in good spirits that they'll have provided decent quarters for us. Well, we will see. We need to arrive there first.